The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for the next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
The great Kash Patel there. Of course, he is rumored. He was being rumored actually to be the CIA head. Now he's being rumored to be the FBI head. I don't know. It would be an amazing thing. That is exactly what we need to do with the FBI and the CIA. As John F. Kennedy said, of course, they say, oh, he didn't say that now. But of course, he did say it. That's why history says he said it. I mean, that's why it says he says it. You know, it's like the old, I told my guys when I take them around the world, I say, hey, look, guys, you know, those old wives' tales? Those old wives' tales they always tell, well, do this or don't do that. Yeah, there's usually some wisdom there. Okay. So, you know, that's why they have old wives' tales. Anyway, they said, Kennedy said he wanted to scatter the CIA into a million pieces. And of course, you know, he got assassinated. Of course, he was doing a bunch of other stuff as well that really upset the wrong people. You are watching on the Smart Money Culture TV network. Good morning. We're on your TV sets in Texas and Louisiana. I can tell you we have some very exciting things going on as well. Some very big growth things going on. We're also streaming around the world on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and Rumble and all the rest of them. So it's always good to see you guys. It's great doing the show every morning, the Impact Money Show. We have a lot of fun doing it. You know, I'll tell you what, we have this list, and I went down some of them yesterday. This list of nominees that Trump has put together. Of course, we have the great Elon Musk as well. Elon is he's got his dog, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, along with Wham Swami there. Here is him just a couple years ago.
I think the United States is more open to new ideas than any country in the world. And I think it's becomes somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy to new ideas. It attracted people from around the world who had new ideas. So now it's filled with people who like new ideas and who aren't bound by history. You know, a lot of the countries that have been around for a long time are really trapped in their own history. The United States is also a great melting pot of different cultures and ideas and thoughts, and it's a country which tends to encourage success, where you sort of see someone that did extremely well, and generally the reaction in the United States is good for that person. So most countries, that's not the reaction. People tend to think, oh, that person did well because they screwed somebody else, or they try to rise beyond their station. That was really inappropriate of them to be so nouveau riche, to use a French word.
Nouveau riche. It's nouveau riche. Hey, it's better to be nouveau than never at all, right? That's what they say. Really, Elon's an amazing guy. To have him closing down so many parts of the government, absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, guys, this whole thing is surreal. Just to be completely frank here, I'm here in the District of Columbia. Yesterday it was a madhouse. Today it is too. So whenever we have both houses of Congress, the House and the Senate in session, it's a madhouse around here. I mean, everybody's here. You have all the staffers that are here. You have everything just going on. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, yesterday we had Biden here as well, and that was just really, you know, that was crazy. I'll tell you what, Biden sure was smiling, wasn't he? He sure was smiling a lot, wasn't he? I mean, that was pretty funny. He looked really happy to be handing over the reins to Trump. I mean, it's pretty funny. I think it's kind of funny. You know, I don't know. Looks funny to me. I mean, I don't think it was lost on him that he was ousted. I mean, just look at this. This is actually worth watching. Let me just add this to the screen here. This is Biden just grinning here. He looks so happy. He's so happy. Yeah, see, look. No one's gonna oust me. No one's gonna oust me for the last month. I'm handing it over to this guy. It's pretty funny. And of course, you have he put on the MAGA hat. My mom was just visiting, and she goes, "Oh, I thought that was AI." No, Mom, that wasn't AI. He like took it on his head. The truth is, I don't even think that's the old Joe Biden. Okay, I think that's an actor. I'm pretty. I mean, I'm like 95%. I'm as sure as a guy who doesn't know him personally could be that is an actor. You can go back and look at pictures, and it does not look like the same guy. That is for sure. It doesn't look like the same guy at all. Of course, the Trump War Room, I don't know if you guys follow the Trump War Room. They have a pretty good Twitter feed, and that's where I've been getting a lot of the information. Trump War Room. This is a video they have.
Now we have a projection to make.
This is the moment that they called the race for Trump.
In Wisconsin.
Yes, we can.
NBC News projecting that Wisconsin was won by Donald Trump. And therefore, as you see on your screen, we are now projecting that the next president of the United States is Donald Trump.
He will reclaim the White House. The 45th president of the United States will become the 47th president of the United States.
CBS News now projects that Donald Trump is the winner in Wisconsin. That gives him the number of electoral votes he needs to become the 47th president of the United States. This is an incredible moment in American history.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms. The first was Grover Cleveland in the late 1800s. Senator J.D. Vance will become the 50th vice president of the United States. Now we have
really an amazing thing. And like I said, it's surreal. It's surreal. And so now, so we haven't, he won. They tried to cheat, ballots of truckloads of ballots and everything turned away. And so now he's won. We have this, a bunch of these appointments and, putting up Tulsi Gabbard. They're just dying about Tulsi Gabbard. They're dying about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. It's going to play heck getting these through the Senate hearings. It's going to play heck. I don't know. I'm not putting anything past Trump and getting him through, but not doing anything about like the race. So you look at what's happening in Arizona. I mean, it just looks very obvious that there's probably cheating going on there. I don't think that anybody kind of can look at that and think that there's not cheating going on. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it to me. I mean, they obviously don't want Arizona. Well, they want control. So I put this out actually a couple of days ago, and this is, so it's probably even more updated from now. But here we go. Here we have, it just shows some of the vote tally, and this is even updated more from now, but you can see Trump above 1,655,000 votes here, and Carrie Lake 1,495. So I mean, that's a considerable amount less, almost 150,000 less. So I mean, it's just hard to believe. So we're all supposed to believe that 150,000 people voted for Trump and then didn't vote for Carrie Lake. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know. Doesn't seem right though. And then you have 1,476 here for Kamala, and you have 1,564 for Rubin. Gallego. Now, I mean, you know, people go back and forth. Well, she's a woman. People didn't want to vote for a woman. This, that, and the other. Maybe, but it looks to me like there's funny business going on. And it hasn't been like officially called. And they're doing the same thing in Wisconsin. They did the same thing in North Carolina, from what I understand, and a few other key states. And so when you add all that together, all of a sudden we take this red wave, and that's what they did in 2022. It was really a red wave. And then by the time they got done doing all the shenanigans, it wasn't. We barely had the House, and we didn't have the Senate. And then, of course, the Republicans all stepped on their own wieners and fired the guy from New York, the gay Latino that claimed he was Jewish too. I think he claimed a lot of things, but I mean, he voted the right way, and he was already there, and they kicked him out of Congress, and then they got a Democrat in there. So I'm here in DC. I can tell you that they knew that was going to happen. They knew that was going to happen, and so you know, they didn't kick him out not knowing who was going to get in there. They knew it was going to happen. So anyway, the whole thing is surreal. So now we're going to get all these nominations. They're going to go up. We need those seats in the Senate in order to pass these people. I mean, Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, it would be absolutely amazing. Kash Patel as the FBI Director would be absolutely amazing. We need to close the FBI. We need to close the CIA. We need to close these three-letter organizations. I mean, there's no getting around it. I understand a lot of people, you know, you feed your family, and you work there and everything else. I have a lot of friends as well. But these organizations are out of control, and they are operating above the United States. And we're constitutionally, we're not supposed to have these. We're not supposed to have these. The FBI, we did fine without the FBI for 111 years or so ago, 110 years ago when they started, 15 years ago. And then the FBI or the CIA has only been started since I think 1946 even, and it was started by the Rothschilds bankers. Okay, the guy, I forget his name off the top of my head at the moment, that started the FBI, and he was the longest serving director. I'm sorry, CIA, and was the longest serving director of the CIA. Is cousins and married into the Rothschilds. So you have the Rothschilds owning the country with the Federal Reserve, and then setting up this intelligence agency. The Federal Reserve, as you saw the other day, even with the little guy saying, "Oh no, the president can't fire me." Oh no, we operate above. I mean, they've said that a number of times. But CIA is operating above the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. government as well. So we can't have that. You know, you can't have a functioning government with agencies that are operating in shadows that are actually in control. I mean, that just doesn't work. So we have to stop them. You know, whether we stop them in this 4 years or we stop them later on, I'm not sure how that'll work, but it will play heck getting these through. Tulsi Gabbard, of course, they're really upset about that. She's head of DNI. We have I'm saying Kash just because, but he has not actually formally been appointed or for. Oh, whether Trump will do that or not. I would actually so far have surprised me. I would say I haven't been surprised by any of them. So I do follow this Trump War Room. Make sure I'm on my right tab here with you guys, just so we can kind of, I did this yesterday too, kind of just go over who so far. So we have, it's a great honor to announce Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is hereby nominated to be the Attorney General. I mean, Gaetz, this is the guy. I mean, if he goes with Gaetz as the Attorney General, I think that we're actually going to put some deep state crooks in. Without someone like that, I don't think we're going to. But Matt, okay, I think we might. Okay, we might. We'll see. Tulsi Gabbard is director of DNI, director of national intelligence. Again, this is an organization that needs to be shut down. But maybe that's this is how we start. He's got to, and this one has everybody really up in arms, or really kind of upset across the board. Excuse me. A little better today though, and that is the nomination of Senator Marco Rubio to Secretary of State. So this one is fairly interesting because I think that what everybody's missing here. And this is where I can really say, okay, here I see the 4D chess of Trump playing out. So you nominate Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. Now you see how Trump goes through people. I mean, you know, say he could be Secretary of State for three weeks, 3 months, 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, I mean, you know, whatever. But meanwhile, I think on the back end of this is now you're going to have this empty seat in the Senate, Florida Senate. And I think the back end of the deal is you slide Laura Trump into that Senate seat. And I understand she's doing great work at the RNC and everything else, but trust me, she has a lot more power and a lot more capability to do something with a Senate seat. So I think that's the back end of the deal. Slide slide Laura Trump into that Senate seat, and then you're set, and then you can do whatever with Marco. Marco doesn't do a good job. You just move on to the next person. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I think he's thinking with that. I don't really have anything against Marco Rubio. He does appear to me to be beholden to all the money they got in there. AIPAC and all these guys. Everybody's actually, they're all bought out by AIPAC, unfortunately. So here we go. House GOP. Of course, the guys were here yesterday. Elon, I believe, came with him. They met with these guys. You know, this guy right here, the House chairman or whatever, the House leader, he is a problem. He's a big problem. You know, a big problem with a lot of these guys is they're all another country first. They're all Israel first, not U.S. first, which is kind of a big problem because it's not kind of a big problem. It is a big problem because we're U.S. So even as you see, these guys have sent, you know, billions and billions and billions of dollars to other places like Israel and like Ukraine. They have left us and our border open. So I'm sure Trump's going to work with them. He's going to say he's a good guy as much as he needs to, but really he does need to go. But we'll see what happens. And, you know, maybe he is more controllable than I think. That's the meeting with Trump. Okay, here we go. Announces senior staff. Mar-a-Lago, he hit these with the same announcement here. Dan Scavino, of course, his trusted right-hand man, Dan Scavino there. I've traveled with him around the world, working with him for all these years. He'll return to the White House as the assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff. Stephen Miller will return to the White House as assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff for policy and homeland security advisor. James Blair will serve as assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff for legislative, political, and public affairs. Taylor Booth as assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff for communications and personnel. So again, this Trump War Room, just to give him another shout out, this is a good one to follow because they're using this really as their place. I'm getting most of my news first. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. I was kind of back and forth on this one. She comes out yesterday. She says, "Oh, we need to have more anti-Semitism laws, you know, across the United States." And man, that's just the wrong thing to say, Kristi Noem. I, you know, the last thing we need are more special laws. Now, of course, hopefully she's, you know, we have other people in there with, you know, cooler heads, but the last thing we need are more special laws. Nobody should be special. I've said that from the beginning, okay? You should be the same equal as me, should be the same equal as the purple guy and the yellow guy and the brown guy and the whiter guy. We should all be equal. There should be no special laws. When you start making special laws, that's where you get in trouble. That's actually racism. That's racism, okay? That is racism. Everybody's equal. Put everybody on equal deal, and we're good to go. Okay. Anyway, so I saw a video of that. I didn't like that, but you know, whatever. You're not gonna like everything. Of course, the great Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy with the Department of Government Efficiency, which is going to be absolutely amazing. All right, well, that's let me just go ahead. We're going to talk about the markets here. This is Pete had Seth to serve in the cabinet as Secretary of Defense. Everybody's kind of up in the air about, or not up in the air. People are pretty excited about that as well. He has a lot of experience. John Ratcliffe as Director of the CIA. Again, we need to close these agencies, but hopefully this is how we start and then we close them. Stephen C. Witkoff to be Special Envoy to the Middle East. On and on here. Governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, nominated Ambassador to Israel. State monitored Congressman Mike Waltz, hereby appointed to my cabinet as National Security Advisor. So, he has really put together his deal here. I'm pleased to announce that former ICE director and stalwart Border Control Tom Homan will be joining the Trump administration in charge of the nation's borders. So it is going to be interesting. It will be a fight to get all of these people confirmed. It's going to be really interesting to see it all happen. Let's talk about the markets here. I have the great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt the Great, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Very good, thank you. Amazing runs, haven't there, been on all the crypto, Bitcoin in particular, massive new all-time highs. So let's dig in and take a look what's happening. There's all sorts of things been going on with the, I saw the fear and greed. I think it was an all-time record high. I think it's all-time record high anyway, 87. I shared it on my X feed. I've never seen it that high before. So little warning signs. We obviously saw Warren Buffett also. He's continuing to cash in his, basically his stocks and risk asset holdings. I'm sharing my screen there. Can you see that, Bruce? Oh. Bruce, can you see me or hear me? I can't see you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You disappeared for a moment. Okay, so as long as you can see that, as I said, Warren Buffett is cashing in more and more of his risk assets and stocks and adding to his cash pile. I've been through a number of market crashes myself. I'm not quite as old as Warren, but I started off my trading career in the early 1980s and basically built up quite a nice little pile of asset stocks. I used to trade penny stocks in those days. From the early 1980s. By 1987, I built up quite a pile of cash for a very young man at the time. Unfortunately, I got hit by the market crash in 1987. Now, just running up to 87, everybody was piling into stocks. Everybody was euphoric. I don't know whether they had a fear and greed index back then, but if they had, I'm sure it would have been close to record highs again. So these are the times that you need to be careful, because in 1987, I got completely wiped out. I lost everything that I had. As a young man, fortunately, I was young enough to start all over again. I had to go into a regular 9-to-5 job to pay off the debt I'd accumulated because I was leveraged. But that was my first lesson in the stock market, that when things get maybe too good to be true, maybe it's time to start thinking about being cautious and maybe protecting some of those gains that you've made. I didn't do that. I hadn't learned that lesson, so I lost everything. The next major hurdle I came across was the dot-com boom and bust in 2000. And I was more ready for that one. I could see what was happening. Again, it was a massive inflated bubble waiting to burst. There was massive euphoria. I was actually consulting with the World Bank in West Africa and advising banks in West Africa. And I was advising them to stay out of the dot-com stocks because I thought it was a bubble waiting to burst. And of course it did burst. So I lost nothing. I actually saved a lot of people a lot of money by advising them to stay out of the market at that time. Then the next major market crash that came along was 2007, 8, 9. Around that time, that one I was really waiting for. Did very, very well out of that because I was waiting for it. I shorted the market, caught it all just right, and did very, very well. Now, I think we're lining up for the next one. We're not here yet, but you can start to begin to see the same sort of signs that there were back in 87, back in 2000, back in 2008, massive euphoria in the markets, massive highs in the markets, massive greed on the fear and greed indices. And we're seeing the same sort of things right now. Now, the thing is, these can continue for a long time. These situations can continue for some time. So when a bubble's inflating, you just can't tell when it's going to burst. At some point, it just gets so large, it just bursts of its own accord, as it were, and a lot of people get hurt. So when a bubble starts to really inflate, you can see some smart investors like Warren Buffett starting to cash out and starting to basically build up a lot of dry powder ready for when the market falls. And if you remember back in 2008, he was the one who piled in when the market was at rock bottom, and this, as they say, blood in the streets. He actually came in and bought up a lot and saved a lot of ailing, troubled stocks at the time and bought in right at the bottom. And that's the thing to do. So if he's selling out right now, maybe we should start to take notice of what he's doing. So let's look at a few of the signs. So this is quite interesting. I'll just go through the various assets again in no particular order, but they're all, I think, quite interesting. And we'll just first of all unravel some of the corrective moves that there are. So the move up in the pound from that low of 103 that we talked about has been in basically a corrective fashion. Corrective means it's against the trend. So that means the trend is still downward. So that means we should go lower than 103. And that's what I've talked about on a few occasions in the past, where I think the dollar will flip the pound and the dollar will actually become stronger than the pound. But the correction to the upside has been pretty well textbook. It's been in the form of what we call WXY, and that's a double zigzag. And what I've done here, I've labeled two zigzags and they're connected by an X wave. So the first zigzag is the W wave, which is basically, we can pretty well see a wave up here, a corrective wave here in 3 waves, and a wave up here. So that's a zigzag, 535 effectively, 5 waves up, 3 waves, you can see them very clearly, and 5 waves there. So it's a 535 zigzag. And then following that, we get the X wave, which is an ABC X wave. It's made up of 3 waves. You need to probably expand it to really see the clear 3 waves, but it is 3 waves, trust me. And then following that, we get another zigzag, another 5, 3, 5. And the 3 waves, once again, are very, very clear here. You can see an A, a B, and a C for the 3 waves. 5 waves are a little less easy to see, but it's actually quite interesting that this is counted as 5 waves, this last leg here of the zigzag. Although it looks like more than 5 waves, you can just about count them here. I might go into a shorter time frame to show you, but if you're going from this C wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, 9 isn't 5, but 9 is impulsive. It's actually an impulsive number. So when you see 9 waves, you know it's an impulse. So it's still effectively a 5-wave move. If you looked at it, you can count this as 5 waves, even though it's 9. So it's basically just part of another zigzag. So we have a W, an X, and a Y. And the Y wave went to precisely 50% of this W wave, which again, what it did, measured the W wave, transposed to the end of the X wave, and it gave us 50% was the end of the Y wave. That's quite a common relationship with the pound. Now, what's really, I think, a little bit of a warning sign, I'm looking really for warning signs here in the market, because the market's going to highs. We had massive all-time highs for Bitcoin. Even now, we're just about 91,000 on Bitcoin. But normally, when you see dollar really beginning to strengthen and the pound here weakening substantially, that's often a sign of tension in the market, and the market's basically waiting to correct to the downside, the risk assets, as it were. The stock markets, the S&P 500, the FTSE, the Dow, and so on, the NASDAQ. Looking potentially to correct downwards. They've not corrected as yet, but there are warning signs there. So the pound has already corrected from, we mentioned this in advance, that this was a likely turning point. We also, you can see here, and I will just go on to a shorter time frame to show you in a bit more detail. We can clearly see here that we had, even if I move this up just to make it, just put it right there, we had regular bearish divergence at the very peak in the pound. That told us pound was about to sell off, and it's aligned with that 50% Fibonacci level as well that we mentioned. So there's a couple of indicators or signals there that told us the pound was about to sell off, and precisely what it's done. So if you've been an FX trader and you followed what we've been saying here, and we have been documenting this as it went along, we're expecting the pound to sell off. Now, it's sold off so far 6%. From here, from this fairly recent time, only September, that it peaked just September, a couple of months back now. It peaked at 134 something, we're now 126. So it's a full 6% down. That is a big move in currency terms in such a short space of time. Especially bearing in mind there's been no particular major events to make it happen as yet. But I think it's just the canary in the coal mine giving us the warning that maybe something is about to happen. So we'll probably see that as we go through some of the maybe more traditional assets, but I will just touch on Bitcoin next, first of all. Here again. Now, we mentioned Bitcoin, and I did say that 84 was my first target higher for Bitcoin for, when it eventually reached all-time high. Now, I didn't actually expect it to break above the previous all-time high yet. I thought this was corrective higher, and I did expect it to turn down from here. This highlights the need for risk reward, for managing risk very, very carefully in your trading. We have obviously sailed straight through that like a knife through butter, as Bruce said the other day. But we still have, over a relatively long period of time here, when I say relatively long, it's since February this year. Let's just see if it's still there, whether we still have. Yeah, we still just about have just very mild regular bearish divergence here on Bitcoin. So we also had very overbought RSI. So it's telling us that there's likely to be a pullback on Bitcoin. It has begun because we did have the high was, I'm just trying to see where the high was, 93,000 was it? I think it was 93,200 or something was the high. We're currently at 90,000 something now. So it has just come off that high level a little bit. I think it's probably easier to see this one if you look at the daily, in fact. Just go on to the day. Yeah, we can see actually divergence a little bit more clearly there. And I actually prefer daily anyway. 4 hours, a little bit short-term, I think. Very often to be looking at divergences, but there's absolutely definitely divergence there. So we see higher highs on price, lower highs on RSI, corresponding, lining up pretty well there. I'd have to come back a bit further there, but yeah, they line up. So we've got some regular bearish divergence. That's telling us likely to be a downturn in price. Let's see what happens. But whatever happens, markets just don't always go in one direction. So far, it's been very one directional. When a market is in particular impulsive mode, usually in wave 3, which is the most aggressive of the Elliott waves. Wave 3 is normally the extended aggressive wave. If this were a wave 3, then you'd expect it to be almost straight up. That's what happens with wave 3s. But it looks as though we may be due a little bit of a pullback. And I think as we go across some of the other assets, we'll see that. So that's Bitcoin. It's been absolutely amazing. The thing is, there are so many positives out there for Bitcoin, and we're starting to get now some of the sovereign wealth funds, some of the nationals actually getting really interested in buying up Bitcoin and holding it in their reserves. So that being the case, there's a massive support for Bitcoin. And if we do get this Bitcoin bill out of America, which I'm told could be after Trump's inauguration, we could get a Bitcoin bill. Now, if that were the case, I honestly think you could see Bitcoin $1 million. I really do. But there's some time to go before that happens, and there's still plenty of risks in the market. It won't go straight there.
That'll be something else, right? That was what we were talking about in Dubai. I mean, once these governments start really buying this as a reserve, if that's what happens, then yeah, I mean, $1 million. I mean, look at El Salvador, boy, they played their cards.
They're starting to nibble away, and when you think about it, the governments, I mean, particularly the sanctioned governments around the world, you think about the likes of Iran, the likes of Russia, it's in their interest to hold Bitcoin, to buy it up as reserve, and there's a lot of mining. I think it's about 11% of mining now goes on in Russia. So remember, once upon a time they banned it. Now it's in their interest to promote it. So these governments like Iran, like Russia, and others, and smaller governments, and ones that have problems with inflation, they'll be the first ones, and they're probably nibbling away now. There's no major change for them to do that. But when some of the big sovereign wealth funds, like across the Middle East, like if America do start to hold it as a major reserve, then it's going to be an absolute game changer. There's only 21 million in existence, and there's just effectively no supply. The stock to flow ratio is now better than gold. So, Bitcoin does appear to, it looks as though even if we get a pullback, I'm just very, very careful now. I daren't, you've got to be very, very careful if you want to go short these assets, particularly Bitcoin. I mean, interestingly, Bitcoin has been running ahead. Most of the other assets have been falling behind because Bitcoin is the one that will be the one held by governments. But as we get more and more institutional adoption, I do think others will be interested.
Doggy coin, okay, to the moon. Dogecoin. If I was a government or a sovereign wealth fund, I would definitely want to hold some doggy coin.
Well, interesting. The Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Absolutely.
You just can't stop winning with Elon Musk. I mean, he really is something else, right? I mean, just, to come out with that name, and how could Trump say, no, we're going to name it something else? Like, obviously, you're just going to name it Doggy.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So we'll just carry on running through. I'll probably need to speed up a little bit because I guess we'll, we haven't got all the time in the world. But XRP has been an interesting one. It's had quite a good pump of late, a really good pump. And it's that one that tends to often go out of step with others. But again, if we're going to get the SEC chair replaced, then clearly that's probably going to be positive XRP. We do still have long term. And when I say long term, it's not that long term. We're talking about from March this year till now, we have hidden bearish divergence. That's basically with lower lows on price and higher lows on corresponding RSI. So that's basically telling you that price should continue lower. Maybe it will continue lower. Maybe we'll get a correction. That is still in place. So we did have, at one point, we had some regular bearish divergence here. That was eliminated as price rose and broke through the previous level here at around 64 cents. So we smashed through that, but we still have longer term hidden bearish divergence. So need to keep a close eye on that. Of course, if price were to go above this level here, which is if it were to hold on a closing basis, that is, not just spike above, but it's already spiked above, that doesn't count. It's really got to close on a daily basis, daily closing above this 72 cent level. And it's so close to that, it could easily do that. If it did that, it would eliminate this hidden bearish divergence and the way will be open for higher. So there's potential for these assets to go higher. I'll miss out a couple. We'll just touch on oil brief. There's not much really to say about oil. It's not really done much. In the doldrums. I think the economy is slowing a little bit, and yet we're still seeing increased inflation in the US. We had increased CPI out yesterday. We've got PPI out today, which I've got it here. Expectation is for PPI to rise. So producer price inflation expected to rise. So inflation is still a worry, if you ask me. And I don't actually know quite how they can be reducing in an interest rate reduction cycle. Don't know how that can be when inflation is still a problem as far as I can see. It's fallen a long way, but it's actually rising again now. So that's a bit of a concern. S&P is still round about all-time highs. We still have very clear regular bearish divergence in place. I think we're due a bit of a pullback on the S&P. I still think we've probably got higher to go, like Bitcoin and the rest. I think we're in a pretty good cycle at the moment, but I think we must be due a pullback fairly soon. It can't continue forever. Dollar index, again, broke through. Is actually quite interesting. We had overhead resistance. I did expect it to break through. We still have very, very powerful regular bearish divergence here. We can see, again, corresponding high highs on price, low highs RSI. Even if I move that over there, we've still got lower highs RSI. So dollar could get a pullback, but at the moment, the dollar's on a bit of a run. And if I look a bit longer term, just scroll out a little bit on the dollar, again, we can see that move that we talked about with the pound we're looking at. Dollar index is very similar. Looks like some kind of ABC. I need to scroll up further to show you that. Anyway, it's a corrective move, some kind of AB. I think maybe on a C wave high. See, I'm targeting C for a bit higher with dollar index. So I've had some kind of move down, got an ABC, which should end a bit higher. So I do think we've got higher to go on the dollar, and that could be telling us that there's a bit of downside to come. Although at the moment, dollar's being correlated with Bitcoin moving higher. But I think...
Yeah, but that is not a normal correlation.
Yeah, it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Once it gets too strong, I mean, we do definitely have. So at the bottom here, we did have regular bullish divergence, which told you price was going to go higher, exactly what it did. Right now, we have regular bearish, which is telling you price is going to turn down. I think that could persist for some little way, a little bit higher to finish off a C wave higher. I don't know quite how high, but a little bit higher. And then maybe we'll get a turnaround. Next one, I will touch on this. Solana's been quite interesting. Again, we've got very clear regular bearish divergence in place. I still think this could be part of a large correction and still substantial down to come. We've tested that level a couple of times up here in the last few days. We got to 225, and we tested quite high again even earlier today. Right now, we're pushing down. Quite a bit of a bearish candlestick at the moment, but we need to see how it finishes before we can make any clear deductions from that. But I actually thought that I was trying to determine what the wave count was, whether it was corrective. So I do think if this is a wave through, we've got an ABC down, and I actually think we've got an ABC higher. Now the C, you can get 3 down, 3 up higher, because it just basically becomes an expanded flat correction. Expanded because the second 3 goes above the start of the first 3. So 3, 3. Now the way the last 3 works is we've got an A up. The B wave is actually a perfectly good triangle. It's an A, B, C, D, E triangle, and then you get a C wave out of it. Now we've got that. I think that's good, personally. And the fact that it's accompanied by this regular bearish divergence and candlestick formations that are in favor of what I'm saying, I think there's a reasonable call for potential downside. So as I say, if you're in these markets and you made some really nice fat profits, then well done to you. I didn't catch the last of these moves. Some of you did. So as I say, really well done, but just be cautious. Maybe lock in some of those gains because we could be in for a bit of a correction. Maybe not. Markets are never certain. We're not giving you absolute advice, but I'm just saying be cautious. Again, we could run through the rest. We'll probably just finish on gold, I think. Gold's gone pretty well, exactly as expected. I think we've had 5 waves down somehow. I've said before, you may remember on previous shows, that with gold, very often it's the 5th wave that's extended. Normally with assets, you get the 3rd wave is the extended wave. With gold and some commodities, you often get the 5th wave being extended, and that's precisely what appears to have happened here. So I think we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, giving us an A wave. I do think that we'll get a bit of a push up in gold anytime soon. That could basically be a reaction towards inflation showing through in the market. But then I think then we'll get another turn down. But it's just an ABC. That's the correction. So we should, after that, rise to new all-time highs once again for gold. But that's my expectation. And it has followed our expectations. We did say that there was regular bearish divergence right on this candle here. Price came down exactly on cue. We are getting now towards oversold on RSI. And we've finished an Elliott wave cycle, 5 waves. So I think that we could be due 3 waves higher in a B wave before we then get further downside. So it wouldn't be really a time for me to buy gold right now. I'd probably wait for lower prices after another little push higher. I'd probably wait for lower prices again to add to my bags here to, looking at buying dips. You could do a bit of DCA, dollar cost average, maybe buy a bit here, but then again, wait for lower prices to maybe add some more, because you never know for certain. But as prices, when we get dips in price, I do think that gold is looking still constructive, and I think there'll be more upside to come. So probably good to dollar cost average and add to your positions there. So again, so much more we could talk about, but I think that's probably a good roundup for today. And just as we finish, Bitcoin 91.5, just ticking higher again nicely. There's no telling when it's going to stop. These markets, as I say, they're a bubble. I do believe they're a bubble. There's been a lot of good news, and that bubble could continue to expand and expand and expand. But at some point, I suspect the bubble will burst. It will be quite spectacular. As much as the bubble inflating is spectacular, I've seen some amazing gains. And there's been some great memes as well. I don't know if you've been watching some of these memes. I've seen some amazing memes that have done really well as well.
It's really exploding. It's been, going up like 700% in a day and stuff.
Yeah, I was just looking at one earlier, which I don't know if I've got it here. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I was focusing on a meme today. It done just in one day 450%, and it had good volume as well. It was actually, really, some of these memes, they've got great volume. Obviously, you don't hold them forever if they've got no underlying value, but if you can jump on the right one. I've seen some people actually get rich from modest amounts of money, catching the right meme. But obviously, you can also lose your money, so be careful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it kind of is like the epitome of, crypto bros and everything else. Like you can get in
with like $200 and make 200 grand out of it, or whatever. I mean, it's just craziness, in like a few days or a day, so yeah, they're fun, but it is highly speculative and they really can't go to zero really quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, that's pretty well it for today, Bruce.
Awesome.
As I say, I hope people are enjoying this amazing, this Trump pump, which is still going on.
Yes.
And can continue potentially. But there are warning signs, as I say. If Warren Buffett is starting to cash out, that tells me something. He's one of the smartest guys ever.
And that's
there are other warning signs.
Yeah, that's his second tranche. And yeah, it kind of signals a strengthening dollar, which I think that's, if Trump gets in, the dollar is going to continue to strengthen. So everything will continue to strengthen possibly. So it's just really hard to call the market right now, like you said, to call the top. I mean, we could just keep slicing, head over 100,000, but we could very easily turn back as well. So we'll see.
I made a joke about Elon Musk having invented a new device which was gravity defying, because everything is defying gravity right now. Everything's going up.
Yes. Well, and you have everybody. I had some, person on my X account the other day, a grandma. I almost said grandma, and I thought, well, that'd be rude. But she said, "I'm going to buy some doggy coin for my grandson." And so you have these types of people entering the market. That's something else. So and optimism is a funny thing.
And that's what they say. I mean, that when they said in the 29 crash, once the shoe shine boy starts talking about stocks, it's time to get out. And I think everybody right now is jumping in. And here's a warning sign, just one more warning sign. We've got dollar yen. We've potentially got 5 waves up on dollar yen. Dollar yen is correlated with risk assets. So basically, as dollar yen is going higher, that means markets are going up effectively. We're coming towards the end of a 5th wave. 5 waves is the impulse. We should get a decent pullback in at least an ABC. But the good thing is that's probably, if it's just 5 waves, that means the impulse is higher. The pullback might be sharp and aggressive and painful, but there should then be another impulse to the upside. So whilst we're due a pullback sometime soon, you can see we're approaching somewhere, probably approaching the end of the 5th wave, there'll be a pullback then, which could be sharp and painful, but following that, there should be more upside to come. So this is why I'm saying Bitcoin, can't ignore it. Yeah, there could be a painful pullback at some point, but there's nothing to stop Bitcoin. It looks as though it really could go to the moon. I mean, we really could be. I say $1 million, it's possible. You can't say no to it, to be honest.
It's like totally possible. I mean, in the short term, they start buying reserves, and it's like, guys, you should probably have some Bitcoin.
I mean, it's 11x from here. It's 11x, Bruce. I mean, if you think about it, 11x is nothing in crypto terms. When you're talking about the just 21 million coins and so much demand.
Even look right now. I mean, we dipped down to 17,000. I mean, what is that to here? 4x abouts, right?
So the FTX low is about 15,500, I think. So 15 to 90 is 4x, isn't it? Sorry, it's 6x. Sorry. 6x.
I'm getting better. It's 6x. Okay, I mean, I am getting better at math on air, but I guess not that.
So that's 6x, and we've only just started to see institutional governmental adoption. So we've only just started to see that. So there's plenty of opportunity there still, I think. But just be careful if you're leveraged. You can get some serious pullbacks and liquidity spikes and all sorts to catch people out. So just be careful.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good. Well, thanks again for having me, Bruce. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and look forward to catching up. Tomorrow is last day before the weekend. So let's see what happens with tonight's PPI and see where the markets go from there.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. All the best.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon with the Market Watch Report. World-class market analysis. We do it daily for you. right on your TV sets in Texas and Louisiana and a lot more states coming. I think, okay, like this, there's big meetings going on. I can tell you that right now as we speak all around the world, putting things together. But as well on your X feeds and your YouTubes and your Facebooks and everything else. We really enjoy doing the show. It is a lot of fun to be part of the conversation. One of the things I tell you, we were at the CC, this crypto content creators campus. Mario Nafal was one of the speakers, and that was one of the things he was saying about X. Is just be part of the conversation. Be part of the conversation, and it is fun to be part of the conversation. And so to have the show like this that we've been doing almost a year now, we'll have our anniversary, our year anniversary coming up here a little bit before Christmas. We even did a show, I think, on Christmas Day. I'm not totally positive. I think we might have Christmas and New Year's Day. I have to look back. I think we did. Hardcore, man. It's up at 5 a.m. I've been waking up at 5 a.m. Every weekday for a long time, except when I'm traveling in another state or another country. In Dubai, it's easy. It's 3 p.m. You wake up at noon, or no. Actually, that jet lag over there, that was rough. Even coming back, it's been a lot easier. I was gone, for a week and then back. But anyway, I wanted to touch on this John Thune, I think John Thune, Senator Thune. The Senate has given a big FU, which was in the title, a big FU, which to America and to Trump, by putting John Thune as the Senate Majority Leader. Now, he is not a popular pick at all. You had Thune and the other guy was Cornyn, both of them deep state guys, not really who we want in there, not America first, not Trump guys. Thune was an ever Trumper. So anyway, they don't care. They've elected him as a Senate Majority Leader. That is going to be a big problem, I can tell you. Republican leader Tom Cotton halted landslide of GOP objections to the Senate. Tom Cotton screwed us on J6 and screwed us again today by getting the senators to vote for Thune. This is my friends here, the Hodge twins. These are good guys. 3 million followers, great guys. He is in Arizona, America last backstage to having trader. Somebody primary him in 2026. We always talk about this, guys, but we need to stick to it. Bannon, President Trump, what a rock star. Thune promised him some recess days, promising we'll stay here every day and we'll get every one of his nominations through. And he gives the biggest, I guess, F you. Okay, here you go, bro. Start with Matt Gaetz as the new Attorney General. Of course, that's the great Stephen Bannon. So it remains to be seen how that all plays out. I mean, that's who we have. We have John Thune, and we have in the Senate, and we have what's his face over in the House. That's what we got. That's pretty rough. That's a rough setup. Two guys that are not America first, that are, supposed to be in our corner, are Republicans, but they're really both rhinos, not working for us. So it remains to be how that'll all play out. We'll see. I do feel like there's something that's going to happen. Getting Matt Gaetz through a Senate confirmation is really going to be something else because they don't like him so much. Matt Gaetz is the reason why we got Speaker Johnson. That's it. He pushed and he got whatever out as Speaker. And that was something else. I did not think that would happen. Of course, it didn't do any good. We got Speaker Johnson, who is arguably worse, or if not just as bad. But Matt Gaetz is not but as Attorney General, hopefully we can get him in and he can do some stuff. It's going to be a fight. That's okay. So we won the election. Now the real fight begins. We'll be reporting on it through the whole deal. We'll be talking about it. We'll be bringing you the live updates. We'll be talking about what it means for you, what it means for your money. how that you, the average person around the world, because with the US dollar and everything else, it is the world. The US policy affects everybody. What we do, our monetary policy, our world policy, obviously it affects everybody. So we'll keep you up on it. Always a pleasure, guys. We'll be back on your TVs in 6 hours. And we'll be streaming again mañana. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.